Good morning, everybody. This is going to be a fast program. It's being done this morning, going to be shown today. My name is Bob Venn. Our program is What's Going On Here, usually on a Sunday, but this time it's on a Wednesday because emergencies have taken place in the past 10 days in and around the North Country. We've had a flood, flooded areas throughout the northern part of the county that we're concerned with, and we're here talking with Mike Frennier this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
We're at his house because he and others know how to help you with this situation. If it's not very long ago, you remember we had first of all, the power went off a week ago tomorrow night.
Yes.
And I am a late bird, so I was talking about myself for a minute. I was up at 1 o'clock when the power went off, and I know that I have a sump pump, and water was melting, the ice was melting, the snow was melting, and it had rained, and my sump pump was working. And the first thing I thought of when my TV went off, I've got to do something with the water that comes in my basement. Well, I got a flashlight and I set up the old kerosene lamps, one upstairs, one in my basement, and one in the stairway. And for 2.5 hours, I bailed out my sump hole, put it into a 16-quart container, and was up and down the stairs every 3 minutes. And then I called my son, and he got up and he kept the water below his furnace level. Because I'm a light go to bedder, I was able to do this. Many people, as you know, Mike, went to sleep, and when they woke up in the morning, they got very, very surprised. There's a way to clean up after a thing like this, and there's a way that you can't clean it up, I guess. That's what we're here to talk about, Mike. We understand that you are now in the process of doing this type of cleanup in addition to cleaning carpets.
Yes. We've always been in this, and for the longest time, we thought we really knew what we were doing. And just in the last few years, we started attending courses all over. And as well with anything, you still got to maintain courses and certifications and so forth. And with a lot of people, they feel that they can go out and get some sort of wet vacuum system and to suck up this water, and it gets the water out, but not thoroughly. And there should be air dryers brought in. They don't even have to be heated air dryers, but there is a certain temperature that your room should be. Dehumidifiers should be brought in. There should be microbial sprays that go in as well. And what that does is it stops any bacteria from starting to grow, such as mold, mildew, or fungus. Because if a person has asthmatic problems, or anybody in the household does, even somebody who's coming to visit who has asthmatic problems, if there's mold present, it's going to aggravate them. And they'll be able to sense this right away. And mold is dormant, it'll last forever. Its ideal temperatures that it'll reactivate itself on is 68 to 86 degrees. Those are their prime. After 86, it could burn off if you have an extremely hot summer, but basements very seldom get above that anyway, right, in the summertime. But for the most part, it's something that really has to be of a person, the homeowner or business owner, whatever the building structure may be. It should be their prime concern to make sure that this is cleaned up properly. And whatever they use, whatever system they use, they really ought to make sure that whoever's doing it has a very good understanding of what they're dealing with and what to look for. Because the general homeowner, this is probably not something they ran into at this level before. And they're going to trust the best way of who's coming in to do this. And they should really, there's a lot of cleaning companies out there that offer water restoration or water cleanup. And they really need to ask them, tell me why we're using you.
Do many people try to do it themselves?
Yes.
Can you do it yourself?
I don't believe you can do it yourself successfully because you can't buy the equipment or even rent the equipment necessary to do this.
How soon do you have to do it? In other words, I would have hesitated to get it all cleaned up completely within the next 3 days because it was still coming in, possibly.
Well, you want to keep on top of it.
Okay.
We did a local home here just recently that their basement flooded out 3 days in a row. And 3 days in a row, we went over and cleaned everything back up, sucked the stuff back out, brought in air movers. It was extremely devastating to the people. They're a retired couple, and they're seeing their belongings floating around in their basement. And we have pictures that we can show people of what is expected in a flood, what
Right.
they can expect, and what's going to happen, and possibly what it should look like afterwards.
If you have one basement that's all open, that's one thing. But when you have divisions and you have a wall and a closet down there, can you do anything with the water stains that are on the sides of the walls or anything like that?
Water stains are generally there for good. If they've absorbed up into the wood, if you're on them quick enough and you can dry them fast enough, chances are you can stop the water stain.
Okay. Is there a lot of work like this to be done? I mean, do you have any idea in Champlain and in our viewing area how many people were flooded? Any idea at all?
Oh, I would say that not just along the river, but all the way through the North Country, you've got homes that, just septic systems backed up, or the groundwater just came in.
Well, yeah. Again, the power was off for 2 hours and a half, and you just had to have problems.
And then the day after, if you recall, that Saturday,
Yeah.
let's see, 2 days after, that Saturday, the water that was rushing across Route 11, as well as through a lot of fields, trying to make its way to the lake, so that the river took some detours, and it went through some homes, and it went through a lot of areas that it normally didn't go through.
Yeah. Insurance cover any of this?
People who have flood insurance, fire or flood, most people have insurance. But what a lot of people don't understand, when they go to get homeowners insurance, they need to specify to their agent, I do want flood insurance. And they may think that because they're living on the top of a hill, and like you and I both live on the top of a hill, we don't expect water, but we get
Right.
water. And you need flood insurance.
So flood don't necessarily mean the water rose in a river and flooded you out. It could be water coming in from outdoors.
It could be a broken water pipe
broken water pipe.
that could do it. You could have a bathroom on the second floor that you've broken a pipe,
Right.
and you went on vacation for a weekend, you come back and your house is underwater, your basement's completely
Yeah.
filled. And
Yeah.
we've gone on job situations like that where a home had a basement and then a ground level floor, and there was an 18-inch water line in the living room.
Oh, let's take a break right there. We'll give you a break and we'll be right back. You see this picture right here. If you think you had troubles during this flood where it inconvenienced you at all, if you didn't have water 8 inches to a foot up the side of your couch in your basement or any room at all, then you really didn't have the problem that a lot of people had. Again, insurance would cover something like this probably. This person had
This
flood
person
insurance?
had insurance.
Okay. Let me explain to you again. I seem to be having these problems, but Teresa, my wife, went to New York to pick up the Frennier kids about 25 to 30 years ago. And when I came home from work that night, she'd been gone for 2 days. I left that morning, or she left that day, and I went in the house, and I heard this hissing sound. My sink was full of water, and the water was shooting out. It had plugged, the thing, it was shooting out. I ran downstairs, and I had 6 inches of water in the basement. It had overflowed from the sink. And something had happened to I think the water went off that morning. She tried to get water and maybe didn't seal it back up. And then she had a pan in the sink, and it just used it as a stopper. And I had furniture like this in the basement. I started carting the furniture out. And when I got all that done, my sump pump was gone. I got another sump pump. Once I got the water out, I tried to use an indoor-outdoor vacuum cleaner, which I did, and looked like it was dry. Of course, it's not. And then I went and got 7 fans and circulated the air with the window open in the basement. And it took weeks. And I don't know if I ever got it all out, really, And this carpet was stuck to the floor. What could you have done in a situation like that?
We could have, no matter how much water you had in your basement, like this home where you just showed the picture from, their basement flooded 3 times in a row. But still, come Tuesday morning, this flooded Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon again. Sunday wasn't quite as severe. And they were quick to call me, and we went right over. Our response time, I think, was within 12 or 13 minutes we were there. And We got the water extracted, repositioned the air movers again, set the dehumidifiers up in place, did some testing, and we use a little device called the hygrometer, check things out, and the hygrometer will really tell you what your dew point is in the air, the humidity, and it gives you grains per pound of water in the air. And it tells you how much air movement you got to have and how much dehumidification you got to have. And we had them dried out, physically dried out 100% by that Thursday. But on Tuesday we started removing blowers because sections of the building were already dry. Wednesday again, Thursday we took everything out.
Was this rug glued to the floor?
Yes.
So you never picked it up?
No, we dried that carpet right in place.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, when I tried to clean mine, I got foam coming out of it, which is probably the glue. It wasn't down any more than 6 months, I guess, when I had done it. And the problem is, and I think about it now, I could have very well have had a heart attack last Thursday night when I was carrying this water up and down, and I didn't dare stop because there was no way to control it. I knew no one to call to help me, and it's a real problem. And now I think about it when I go to sleep every night that it could still happen if the power went off. Of course, now there's no more water coming in like that.
And we also dried this building with the furniture in its place. We didn't remove anything other than like books or something like that was on the floor. But we dried this building with everything in place.
How long would it take you? Say, when you were there, how many hours total?
Counting all 3 days, we had about 20 hours of extraction process.
Okay, so then if it had only happened once,
we were there 8 hours.
8 hours, and you could have. That'd have been
8 hours. We had it drying.
You had it dry, drying.
Drying.
Okay. And how long would your things work afterward?
Had it not reoccurred Saturday and Sunday, Tuesday they would have been 100% dry.
Okay. I not asking for the exact, but is this done on an hourly basis, on a job basis, or how's this done?
It's done on a total content basis. Water extraction. With a touchy area, the adjusters like to use certain companies that maybe won't be as thorough, but the customers don't have to accept that.
Okay.
This is their home. It has to be done to the customer's satisfaction, to the best of possible. And the proper method is from start to finish. Is saving the contents of the building, saving the building, and stopping any funguses, bacteria, or anything like that growing.
Okay. You know, you talk about insurance. When we had that problem with the overflowing the sink, and it must have run for 4 or 5 hours, I said, well, they said, you're probably covered by your insurance, and I felt pretty good. My ceiling was gone in my basement, where it had come down all through my acoustical tile. Called the insurance company, sent an adjuster, and he got all the information. He went back, and then he called me and said, I'm afraid I should have done this before. I found out you had the wrong homeowner's policy. You do not have water damage in the house. And maybe for an extra $10 a year or something, I could have had it. I was young enough that I really didn't know. I expect the insurance company to tell me, and they don't always know. They're trying to save me some money, or they think I want to save money, but you should find out what's on your policy. Ask. If you don't have it, you better get it, because it's just terrific. I can't imagine what the person felt, and I don't want to imagine. I know how mine was that time, and I had second-hand furniture down there. I didn't have anything real nice. All right, Mike, we'll take another short break. We've got about 20 minutes total. That's about it. We'll make sure we cover what you want to cover, and what you people out there, if you have any questions, you don't have to hire you. He could call you and just ask questions, right? If you want to get some information, give Mike and others. I mean, we're not here to advertise for Mike, or are we ever any place to advertise? But he's a type, and you can look up in your phone book if you want, but call somebody if you have that problem, and don't wait too long. So Mike, this is something that you may not have done in the past, or you're going into it more now, and maybe there are other people, but you've changed the name of the business.
Well, we still have Frennier's carpet cleaning.
Okay.
That's all we did was we diversified a little bit. We'll be sharing the equipment back and forth, as well as our building back and forth. We've separated Champlain Valley Restoration Services from Frenier's carpet cleaning just for the simple fact of better easement under a trying situation when somebody tells them that a restoration company is coming rather than a carpet cleaner.
Okay.
Because we deal with many other catastrophes that happen to people, such as fire.
So there's water damage after a fire many times. The
Yes.
water does more damage than the fire.
Right.
So you can go in and do that.
Yes, clean that back up and get them back to original as best as possible.
Do you have anything that will get rid of that smoke smell?
Yes. We have what's called an atomizer. And what that does is it'll actually break the air. We can put a gallon of deodorizing chemical in front of you and you'll smell it, but you're not going to be able to breathe it. What this machine does is it actually breaks it and sends it right into the atoms of the air. And it'll be absorbed by almost anything that's porous.
Many people have used aluminum paint to cover over a fire that cuts down some of the odor where it's continual into a place like that.
In most cases now it can be done without that.
Okay. Now, your new number, and you can still find your number in the book under Michael Frennier, but your new number is 298, the number 4, dry. It's not in the phone book yet. But there are many things that you can do other than carpet cleaning right here in your community. And I want to bring your attention to another great little business in the area, of course, the Rogers Point Business Connection. Sandra Davis, now it's
Brenda.
Superna, not
Brenda.
Sarah. Brenda Davis, Superna,
And Dave.
and Dave. And in their February issue, which is coming out, it talks about the Champlain Valley Restoration Services begin operations. There's a little story about this, explaining some of this too. You might want to pick up, and you can pick it up at all your local business places and read about this and all the other fine news that they put out. Mike, we're just about to the end of our time. In closing, what would you like to tell us? Anything out further?
If anybody out there has water damage from the excessive water, or broken pipe, or if you've had past water damage and you don't think it was cleaned up properly, if you want to give us a call, we'll go look at it free of charge, and we'll give you a professional opinion on the best ways about getting it cleaned up, whether by us or anybody else. But we'll give you the
Estimate approximately what it might cost?
Yeah, we can give you a pretty good ballpark figure on what it's going to cost you.
Would you also know maybe that whether that type could be covered by insurance or not, if they have the right insurance? Or do you just refer them to the insurance company?
I'll refer them back to check with their insurance company. I can't speak on behalf of the insurance
Okay.
companies.
At this point, it's so new, if you don't know whether you've got flood or water damage from your pipes or whatever, I suggest that you check with your insurance company, no matter who they are. I know I've got it now, and some of them even give you living expenses when you leave your house for 2 or 3 days during the cleanup. Any difference when the water has come up into your living quarters on the first floor that's different than basement?
Well, you're dealing with your wood structure as well as your carpet, your padding, and so forth. So you've got to dry the carpet from top and bottom, as well as the floor from top and bottom. And it's a very lengthy process that's forced into a short time with the more air movement you can put in the building.
Okay, we're just about ready to close off. We guess we're going to have to, because they'll cut us right off otherwise. You've been watching Hometown Cable. Mike Frennier, Champlain Valley Restoration Services, with a lot of advice for you too. And Calvin Castine with the camera, I forgot to mention him. I'm Bob Ben, a program usually on Sundays called What's Going On Here? It's also called that in the middle of the week, which is today, Wednesday, a special edition. Thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
This is very up-to-date and very very important at this particular time, because so many people were damaged. I think of the man who, in Perry's Mills, in the paper yesterday, that had all that water. What a devastating thing. If you didn't have it, thank God that you did not have the storm in Morrisonville.
If you've got mildew and you can smell it in your home, you've got moisture present, and we can show you or tell you the best way about removing that from your home.
We'll see you on Sunday. Be a short week.